Hey, it's me, MLB. We've got Chapter 7 of Be With Me. This one's titled A Change. Months went by, and every waking moment was spent with Eijirou. Every afternoon he'd come over and stay for dinner, then you two would do your homework together, and after another hour or so, he'd go home, and then you two would be texting and calling until all hours of the night. You'd been over to his place and seen his mother again. She was just as excited as your mum had been that you two had found each other again. One afternoon at school the fire bell rang. No one seemed too panicked and filed out into the corridor, that is, until they saw black smoke billowing out from the stairwell. Then all hell broke loose. Students were screaming and yelling and running in all directions, and you pushed yourself up against the hall wall and wildly looked around, trying to figure out which way to go. You were about to make a move when a strong hand grabbed your wrist. "Icky!" a familiar voice called to you over the din of the panicked school members. "Don't worry, I'm here, I'll save you." "Let's play saving, Sharky!" he yelled back, and he flashed you a big toothy smile before pulling you along behind him and weaving his way through the crowd. The smoke was getting thicker, and he took his jacket off and told you to hold it over your nose. "What about you?" said worriedly. "Don't worry about me, all I care about is you," he said, retaking your hand and leading you to a different stairwell. "This way," he called, pushing the door open. You stepped through behind him, but someone shoved you in your back as you took a step, and you tripped, stumbling towards the top of the stairs. Eijirou yanked you back towards himself, but your sharp tug on his arm as you fell knocked him off balance, and he only just had time to wrap you in his arms as you both fell down the stairs. He flicked himself under you so that he took all of the hits as you bounced down into the bottom of the stairwell. He didn't care, though. He was happy that he had you safely wrapped in his arms. You screamed as the two of you tumbled and bounced down the first flight, landing heavily on the flat landing spot before the next flight down. "Shark, are you okay? I'm so sorry," you yelled, pushing yourself off him and checking him over. He was winded, but otherwise okay. "Why didn't you use your quirk?" you quizzed him emphatically. "You could have hurt yourself really bad." "I couldn't," he choked out, still trying to catch his breath. "If I had activated it, it would have cut you." Your eyes widened as you realized that he took those hits and didn't think about protecting himself because it would have hurt you. Your eyes welled up with tears, and you fell in to hug him. "Sharky," you sobbed, "you're so sweet. You didn't need to take all that pain for me." "But that's what best friends do," he whispered back, patting you on the head. "I need to get you out of here, though. It's not safe." He pulled both of you up to standing and helped you down the last flight of stairs and pushed the stairwell door open. The paramedics treated Eijirou for smoke inhalation and significant bruising, and you stayed with him in the infirmary until he was discharged. You were still overwhelmed by Eijirou's care of you, and you called your mum to come pick you both up from school. On the way home you told her about how heroic he had been, and he blushed when he heard you gushing about him. That weekend you hung out together as usual. "Hey Sharky, let's go down to the new cafe down the road," you said enthusiastically. "Yeah, okay," he said, smiling at you. He didn't care where you two went. As long as he was with you, he was happy. You both left the house and walked down to the cafe, chatting as you walked. He pushed the door open for you and ushered you inside. It was a cute little cafe with booth seats, and you found a quiet little table and sat down, perusing the menu. A bubbly young waitress suddenly appeared at the end of the table and introduced herself as your waitress for the day, and Eijirou fell silent. You glanced up at him, and he was just staring at the girl. You cleared your throat. "You ready to order shark?" "Shark?" the waitress asked with a little giggle. "Oh, it's my nickname," Eijirou stuttered. "It's cute," the girl responded, tilting her head to the side with a gorgeous smile. "Wow," Eijirou breathed. "You have a beautiful smile." "Oh, thank you," she blushed. You watched on, confused. After you and he had ordered, you asked him that burning question. "What's up with you?" you asked with a little giggle. He hummed in question, looking over to where the waitress had walked off. "Oh, sorry, Ick." He suddenly snapped back to your conversation. "What was your question?" You raised an eyebrow at him. "Are you okay? You keep staring at her." "Oh, really? Is it that obvious?" You burst out laughing. Yes, like obvious? "Oh, sorry," he chuckled with embarrassment, rubbing the back of his neck. "She's just really cute," he said, glancing back to where his newest interest was working. The waitress had looked over at him and winked when she saw him watching her, and he blushed and looked away. You were amused, but at the same time you felt a bit sad. Why? The rest of your lunch at the cafe was a bit disjointed, as all of your questions and comments seemed to fall on somewhat deaf ears. Eijirou was absolutely smitten by this waitress and spent most of his time staring dreamily at her. As you two were about to leave, he asked you to wait for a second. You stopped and watched as he walked over to the waitress that he'd been admiring all afternoon. They had a short chat, and she gestured at you. He shook his head, and she beamed. You crossed your arms. Oh la la, mga tao, something's going down. Sorry to end like that. You'll have to stay tuned for the next chapter, which is going to be chapter 8.